planning to have a wedding night, but before they could have their wedding night, Romeo got into a street fight. And his friend Mercutio was killed, and in a rage, he killed Tybalt in a street fight and has been banished by the prince. When last we spoke, we saw Juliet finding out about this, and the double whammy for Juliet, that her cousin Tybalt has been slain in a street fight, and the person that did it was her new husband, Romeo. And so we just saw her getting torn up by it. Now, this scene, we find Romeo talking to the friar and finding out what's going on, friar. I was just in a little street fight where people died. What do the cops say about that? So the friar says, okay, the prince, he's not going to have you put to death. There's good news. You're just going to be banished. And Romeo's like, what? That's horrible. Banished. I can't see Juliet. And the friar's like, well, it's better than death. And they go back and forth for a while on that. And finally, Romeo says, 'tis torture and not a mercy. Heaven is here, where Juliet lives. And every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing live here in heaven that may look on her, but Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lies in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal a mortal blessing from her lips, who even in pure and vestal modesty still blush, as thinking their own kisses sin, but Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And sayest thou yet that exile is not death? Hast thou no poison mixed, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though never so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished! Oh, friar, the damned use that word in hell. Howling attends it. How hast thou the heart, being a divine and ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed, to mangle me with that word banished? And the friar tries again. Look, man, it's not as bad as you think. It's not as bad. And Romeo just won't have it. The nurse comes in. Having left the scene with Juliet, having told Juliet, I'm going to find Romeo and bring him to you. She finds Romeo where she thought he would be, with the friar. And sees Romeo just apoplectic on the floor, weeping, and says to the friar, yep, I just left Juliet. She's in the same state. Romeo rouses and asks the nurse, how's Juliet? And the nurse says, she's not good. She's just heart-stricken, and she's in grief, and she's not doing well at all. And Romeo says, it's all my fault. I'm the one that did this to Juliet. I should die. And Romeo takes out a dagger and is about to stab himself. And the friar intervenes and takes the knife away. And he says, hold thy desperate hand. Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thou art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast. Unseemly woman in a seeming man. And ill-seeming beast and seeming both. Thou hast amazed me. By my holy order I thought thy disposition better tempered. Hast thou slain Tybalt? Wilt thou slay thyself? And slay thy lady that in thy life lives, by doing damned hate upon thyself? Why railest thou on thy birth in heaven and earth, since birth and heaven and earth all three do meet in thee at once, which thou at once would lose? Thy noble shape is but a form of wax, digressing from the valor of a man. Thy dear love sworn, but hollow perjury, killing that love which thou hast vowed to cherish. Thy wit, that ornament to shape and love, misshapen in the conduct of them both, like powder in a skilless soldier's flask, is set afire by thine own ignorance, and thou dismembered with thine own defense. What? Rouse thee, man. Thy Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but nearly dead. There art thou happy. Tybalt would kill thee, but thou slewest Tybalt. There art thou happy too. And law, that threatened death, becomes thy friend and turns it to exile. There art thou happy. A pack of blessings light upon thy back. Happiness courts thee in her best array. But like a mishaved and sullen wench, thou poutest upon thy fortune and thy love. Take heed, for such die miserable. Go, get thee to thy love, as was decreed. Ascend her chamber, hence, and comfort her. But look thou to stay not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where thou shalt live till we can find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 20,000 times more joy than thou wentst forth in lamentation. Go before, nurse, commend me to thy lady, and bid her hasten all the house to bed, which heavy sorrow makes them apt to do. Romeo is coming. And the nurse says, yes, I will do that, and she leaves. So, again, I think it's so important. The friar is not a people pleaser. He's not telling Romeo what Romeo wants him to say. He is berating him once again. He's been berating him, kind of lovingly berating Romeo from the very beginning of the play. He's a very harsh but loving mentor to Romeo. I think it's so important because this will pay off later in the play. Oftentimes, the friar is cast and played kind of as a very sweet, agreeable person, and I think that doesn't serve the play in Act 5. We'll get to that later, but I think if I were to cast the friar, he would be a curmudgeon. He would be a guy that doesn't get along with everybody all the time, a guy that says what he thinks and pays the price for that. A guy with a very big, warm heart, but a kind of a crusty exterior. You don't have to cast him that way, but it's really, really important that the audience knows this is not a man that tries to please people. This is a man that does what he thinks is right. And obviously, Romeo is just beyond rational thinking. He's destroyed everything in a moment of passion. Forgivably, I mean, if I saw my best friend slain in the streets, I might lose my mind and commit murder. I don't know. But yeah, both of these scenes, we're seeing just people just get crushed by street violence, basically. And that's it. We're getting to the point where people are yelling at each other a lot, they're screaming a lot, and they're not happy. The world is crushing this beautiful flower, this young love that is just barely blooming. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.